What is going on, YouTube? PPS back here. It is our YouTube play of the day for the 2nd of February. Coming at you guys for some college basketball. A very nice NBA slate tonight, but I do want to head over to the college basketball streets today. Still just got a sour taste in my mouth about last night's play of the day with Furman. Since we're already getting into it, let's just talk about that a little bit. We had a nice first half, I believe 42 points. And then Furman just started blowing these guys out. Unfortunately, that kind of took a hit on the team total a little bit there. And Chattanooga could not score in the first 5 minutes. There was 25 points scored in that first 5 minutes. So the pace was definitely there. The shot making down the stretch just wasn't what it needed to be for us to get there. I'm going away from team totals today just because I do have that sour taste in my mouth here. But I do really like both spots. I will actually be making both of these 1.5 unit plays. So I haven't had a 1.5 for college basketball here in like a week or so, but I'm going to do back-to-back today. I really like this slate. There's some teams here that I really do like, and I definitely want to talk about here. And let's start with the late game. We're going to start with the late game. I'll have one here in the earliest game and one in the late game. And I'm going to be going to Pepperdine again. I understand, yeah, you look at this number, 161.5. What are you doing, right? Why are you going to a number this high? And I think the books kind of understand that, right? We see numbers this high only when books are obviously kind of scared of putting a number any lower than that, right? They're giving me a minus 110 here on over 161.5, as you can see right here. 1 point spread. One thing I do like about this point in the season is a lot of the times these guys have played each other, right? They play each other in the past. We've seen 155 in their last game, but let's go into a little deep dive here. I have a lot more to talk about today than I usually do. I did it later in the day so I could give more reasoning and numbers behind these spots. So first game, we saw these teams push into the 70s in terms of possessions. If we go into 70s, that's ranking about top 20 in terms of pace in the country here. If we just want to go on our outlook, right, on just the team outlook that we like to talk about, Pepperdine is 10th in the country in terms of pace. Pacific is actually not that far behind. They're sitting at 49. Obviously a little bit better offensively than they are defensively. If we look at that first matchup, right, we saw Lewis, obviously the number one guy for Pepperdine, drop 30 points in that game. Obviously, he is by far their best player. But what I do like from Pacific is that we're seeing some pretty high totals against teams that aren't as fast as Pepperdine. Like we've seen them go up against Gonzaga, 189 points in that game. Obviously, I'm not ranking Pepperdine on the same level as Gonzaga, but you also go up against Santa Clara in their last matchup and put over 180 points up in that one, right? When we see them play against teams that are fast too, we're seeing some pretty big numbers out here, and I think the books kind of understand that. The last thing I'm going to touch on in this term of their last game, right, is just how bad free throws were and three-point shooting, right? So three-point shooting was about average, about 35% on both sides, but 14 for 22 from free throws from Pacific and 21 for 29 for Pepperdine. That is way lower than their season average. And that's one thing I do want to talk about here. Opponent three-point percentage. Pepperdine, one of the worst in the country, right? Under 300. That's 37% they're allowing from three so far this year. Pacific, still bottom third in the country at 35% allowed. And then if we go over to who's playing in this game, right? We have Pacific ranking in the top 20 in terms of three-point shooting. Pepperdine, top third in the country at 35%. So I expect Pacific to be shooting the ball a little bit better than they did last game. But also, this is the big kicker for me, is just how bad these guys are at defending on defense, right? You can look at your Ken Pom numbers and all that and whatever on that end. But if you look here, Pacific ranks bottom 30 in the country at allowing almost 22 free throws per game, 21 free throws per game allowed for Pacific. And Pepperdine's not that far behind. They're allowing 20 free throws per game attempted. They can't guard without fouling. We have a bunch of guards in these games that can shoot free throws well. We saw it in their last matchup, just the amount of free throws missed that I don't expect to see, right? Martindale for Pacific, 2 for 6, right? We're seeing guards off the bench, 1 for 4, right? If we take away Lewis was 11 for 12. Pepperdine had their center shooting 6 free throws, missing 4 of them. It's just there's a lot of missed points here, and I think this pace is going to allow us to get there. I love these late games, but I also just love them when the other team really doesn't care that much about defense. They're trying to outrun and gun you, and that's how these two teams play. So love that it's a 1-point spread, hoping we still get those late game free throws, and I expect them to shoot better from the line in that last game. So than that last game. So they still scored 155, and neither team shot over 75% from the free throw line. I think there's points left on the board, and I'm ready to go back to the well on Pepperdine. We did catch them in our last time we used them, so hopefully they can come back for us and get us another winner here. All right, guys. This is a play. I don't know if we've played these guys, or at least I don't think I've done them on a free play here. But I have played these guys on VIP, and I really like Youngstown State and how they play basketball here. Youngstown State, obviously coming out of the horizon there, 151 in terms of pace, but they are a top 30 offense and adjusted offense in terms of Ken Palm there. And they're facing off against Wright State, who is going to push the tempo here. They are 13th in the country in pace, and I think that's really going to help this Youngstown team who plays very good offense at an average pace. Now you're going to have to play against Wright State, who is ready to run and gun. That is what they're trying to do. Trey Calvin, their leader, 19 a game. Obviously a pretty big score for these guys. In their first matchup, 165, 165 points scored in that first game. We saw 97 scored in that second half. Obviously, I don't expect a 100-point half very often here, but I do really like what these guys have been doing in the first half overall this season. In terms of points scored in the first half, we have Youngstown sitting 37th in the country, scoring 37 points per game. And then we go to Wright State. They're actually a little bit better, ranking 27th in the country at almost 38 points per game. So average, they're getting to this number. Horizon League offenses, Youngstown is among the top in leaders in pretty much every single category here. And obviously, I really like that they're able to score the ball in the first half and that they're doing better in the first half. One thing I did want to talk about here is just how good Youngstown State is at shooting the three ball. They are fourth in the country out of 358 teams at 40%. They shoot 40% from three. Wright State, not as well, but 33% still decent. I'm not going to say they're good, but the biggest thing is that 40%. And Wright State is among the bottom third in the country in terms of guarding the three ball and allowing around 35% from three. I think that's a big focal point here. I think Youngstown will be able to score pretty much wherever they want. Mostly if those three balls are falling, we could see this number fly over like 80. So we saw it in their first matchup against each other. Like I said, 165 total points scored. They shot 10 for 23 from deep. Wright State only shot 20%. I don't expect them to shoot that poorly from three at all. I think that they're going to obviously right the ship a little bit here because Youngstown State does not guard the three ball well. Youngstown State allows 36.6% from three. And in that first matchup, we saw Wright State only shoot 20%. Their season average is 33. Youngstown doesn't guard the three ball well. So I expect some regression positively here for Wright State to score. So I really like both sides of both offenses here. I love that the pace up spot is going to be for the better offense. I think that is very important because I don't think it's moving the number enough. So I love Youngstown State and Wright State over 74.5 points for the first half, 1.5 unit on that one. And Pepperdine, we're heading over there for over 161.5 points. I obviously showed you that number already. I want to make sure you guys see this before we head on out. Pulling this up over on FanDuel is where I'm finding this number here. And you can find that 74.5 at minus 110 over on FanDuel, guys. So thank you guys for tuning in. I know it's a little bit longer video, but I love both of these spots. And I think we can cash in both of these. So have a good one, guys. Let's get this roll back on the college basketball streets. And hopefully we can get a couple more winners for you. So have a good one, guys. Best of luck. Peace.